When I was 17, my brother threw a boat party to celebrate his 21st birthday. This was a big moment for me because I was still in high school and was going to my first legit college party. And bro, it was way crazier than I ever could have imagined. You see, there was another boat party going on in the lake that we were in, and my brother and the other host decided to join the parties together to create one massive party. And that turned it up to another level. I hopped on the other boat, trying to meet people, generally vibing, and then I saw her. On the other boat, there was this blonde girl who straight up had the Iggy Azalea build. She didn't have a dump truck, she straight up had a monster truck. Matter of fact, she had whatever this thing is back there. Being a delusionally confident 17-year-old, I saw an opportunity. I walked over to her doing that like side look thing that guys do to show off their jawline, and once I got to her, I complimented her tattoo sleeve. Oh my god, thank you. From that moment, I knew I had it in the bag. I was out there laying on the charm and she was definitely feeling me, and then it all crumbled away so quickly. I asked her what she did for work and she said, "I'm 25, I'm a real estate agent," and then she asked me what I did for work. I'm 17, still in high school. Immediately her face shriveled up and she was like, "Oh my god, I feel like such a weirdo right now." And then she said, "Sorry, I gotta go," and left. And that's the story of how I missed out on eating that millennial vanilla cake. I think having a crush on someone older than you might be an unavoidable part of the Gen Z experience. I know that people of all generations can go through this, but I have so many friends who have similar stories of having crushes on people older than them that at this point, I don't think it's a coincidence. But I think an even more common and unavoidable Gen Z experience is finding out that someone you thought you liked was actually a bop. Listen man, don't try to deny it. It happens to all of us. This is a safe space. At least whenever you find out, your internal bop detection software starts to improve. Fortunately for me, I received an education on the bopping arts at a young age. When I was in 9th grade, I took a debate class where I became acquainted with a girl who was in 12th grade. Over the years, she kind of became like a big sis / relationship mentor for me. She would tell me about red flags in girls that most guys don't notice, and she also showed me how lucrative being a bop is as a girl. Like one day she let me see her Instagram DMs and they were flooded with thirsty dudes. She was like, "Yeah, so I basically have a roster of like 8 dudes and they all buy me stuff and I get free food off of them and they all think they're the one." I was sitting there as an innocent little 14-year-old, completely horrified at what I was looking at. At that point in my life, I thought I was gonna find my soulmate, settle down with my high school sweetheart, and live happily ever after. But once she revealed to me how girls really be working, I knew my dreams were cooked. Speaking of cooked, another unavoidable part of being Gen Z is roasting brain rot terms, but eventually giving in and using them. Even the term bop I thought was so dumb the first time I heard it. I was like, isn't there already enough terms to roast promiscuous women? Do we really need another one? But over time, bop has become a common term in my vocabulary. It's convenient because you can say it in public without people side-eyeing you, and it honestly doesn't even sound offensive. Like, you're a bop.
Okay.
Still, I have no clue what the etymology of the term is, and honestly, I feel like that's the same with most brain rot terms. Like, imagine going back to the Victorian era and telling someone, "Let me skibbity on your gyat, my sigma. Get the guillotine ready, this man is clearly insane." Other brain rot terms I roasted at first, but then started using are edge, yap, blank maxing, and especially I think we all kind of have a love-hate relationship with brain rot, and I think the same can be said about AI. AI is great for menial tasks like asking for the weather or the meaning of life, but I don't think anyone really likes the idea of AI-generated art or AI being an emotional companion. While AI is a useful tool, I don't really buy the idea that it's gonna make our lives significantly easier and let us work less hours. But what AI can do is all your assignments for school. I mean, seriously, since the introduction of chat, Gen Z hasn't learned anything anything from school. Chat is always open in another window and it's just Control-C, Control-V every time. One time I was hanging out with this girl and her roommate had a 4,000 word essay due in 4 hours. If this was 5 years ago, she would have been completely finished. But she just entered the prompt in chat, got a full essay generated, put it through an AI detection scrambler, and then submitted it, all within the span of 10 minutes. Mind you, this girl is in pre-med, so these are the future doctors of America. In 10 years, you're gonna go in for a diagnosis and your doctor is gonna have one AirPod in, ask chat about the symptoms and say, "You're low-key cooked, little bro," and then charge you $200. Listen, I'm not saying that we don't learn a lot of useless stuff in school, but what's the point of paying 80 grand for an education if you're gonna learn nothing? I just think Gen Z in general has become disillusioned with the formal education system, and I think we can all agree that March 2020 started that trend. I think the most universal Gen Z experience that we literally all went through was getting excited that our spring break was getting extended, then realizing that we weren't coming back to school. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I hated remote learning. Not only did nobody learn anything, teachers thought the best way to compensate for us not being in person was to just give us 4 times the homework. I mean, seriously, not only was I 15 years old and stuck in my bedroom on Zoom classes for 8 hours, I had another 3 hours of homework afterwards. If there's one thing that time period did to us is that it made us lose faith in the establishment. Gen Z has been characterized as being cynical, which I think is a fair critique, but I think it really just stems from the fact that we understand that the powers that be don't have our best interests at heart, and in a weird way, that disillusionment has brought us together, because despite what social media will have you believe, most Gen Z people are actually pretty united in their ideals. We are an individualistic generation first and foremost, trying to make sense of the world while also not trusting it. We are hyper aware, use memes as an outlet for our emotions, and are smarter but also unhappier than past generations. And I think there's something unique and beautiful about that. So to all the Gen Zers out there, I don't really know a wholesome way to wrap this up, so get your money up, please subscribe, and follow me on Instagram. I'm posting there once we hit 50,000 subscribers.